Good afternoon. Welcome to Live at Lunch. This is Coach Marcus with Pro Fan Talk. What is happening to everyone out there? Happy Wednesday to you. Halfway through the week. And we keep getting news and hiring throughout the NFL with Philadelphia Eagles. It doesn't stop. This is going to be probably one of the busier off seasons that the Eagles have had, or at least we'll be getting a lot of attention because of the way things transpire going down down towards the end. So, um, a lot of information, a lot of still a lot of hirings and firings. You saw what happened. Um, the guy from Seattle reneged on going to DC. So I'm or Detroit. Detroit. What's up, Mayor? I appreciate you, bro. Um, yeah, he decided to stay, I guess, in Detroit. I think it was. So, and it's weird because it's a different dynamic now because it seems like the guys that are in positions to take those steps, some of them are waiting until the situation is perfect for them, if you want to call it that. Mayor, I do like the new coaching pickups. The Kellen Moore wasn't my first choice, but I do like the addition. And really looking back on it and getting rid of the Cowboys bias and all of that kind of stuff. He's done some good things. He did some good things with Dak. Dak had two of his most productive years under Kellen Moore. So that has to count for something. And nothing can be as bad as what we just went through. With all of the weapons that we had, that's what makes the situation here so much worse. Because you have to look at the weapons that we had. We had 3,000-yard players on our offense. Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, DeAndre Swift, all over 1,000 yards. With A.J. Brown having 14 yards receiving. So with those type of weapons and the way it petered off at the end, that was crazy. So we got to make some moves. And I'm happy that Kellen Moore, at least, the reason why Kellen Moore wasn't my first choice was because I wanted some. My first choice was Eric Bieniemy because I thought we needed like an old school type coach because I think we need somebody in here that has enough cachet to not be influenced or overshadowed by what Sirianni wants to do. And I kind of think that that's what happened last year with Brian Johnson because I refuse to believe that Brian Johnson was solely responsible for the offense being that bad. I refuse to believe that. And the reason I say that is because he was here 2 years before and nobody seemed to have a problem with him. Now, if all of a sudden calling plays out the blue just was not his thing, I am sure at some point in the past he had shown the acumen to do that. But you saw last season, it was good until it wasn't. Now, our defensive situation didn't help much, but um, I don't know how many times I'm pissed off watching the game with all of these bubble screens, not running the ball outside, trying to run DeAndre Swift to the inside, like different things like that. Just we didn't. It seemed like we didn't make common sense decisions. You know what I'm saying? So, um, yeah, it was weird, man. And let me say this before we get too far into it. I got to pause real quick because I got to show some respect to one of my coaches coming out of college. His name was Jack Eisen. Jack Eisen was our defensive coordinator and defensive backs secondary coach when I was at Eastern Kentucky. Jack was the guy, F around and find out. Jack was that dude. He was Mr. Um, intensity. He was the guy you didn't want to let down because you were scared to let him down. Because he was intense. He was the guy on the squad. He was the coach on the squad that would give you that look and you know you had messed up. So I like to call it the triumvirate of coaches that were at Eastern Kentucky. All have passed on now. Coach Blankenship, Coach Roy Kidd, a couple months ago, and now Coach Eisen has passed away. So just had to stop and give some respect to my EKU brethren and the EKU legacy, man. Matter of pride. So love you, Coach. Rest in power. Appreciate all them lessons, my man. Yes, indeed. So, but yeah, moving on. So we got the big hurt, Clint Hurt, and I've been watching a lot of videos of him from what is it, the KJ podcast from Seattle. He seems like a good dude. I really like his demeanor, and I like the way he explained their tackling woes and defense being so bad. I like the way he not explained it, but basically he was saying what he had to do better. And immediately he said it's all on him and his coaches. And you can't blame it on the coaches because the coaches all report to him. So it all goes back to him. So I like the way he explained that and broke it down. And it seems like he's the type of dude, he's got you, he can joke with you and he can bring the pain a little bit. Have them uncomfortable conversations. So seems like a good guy. Familiar with Fangio. So is Carl Scott, both of them from Seattle. The one thing that does worry about, the one thing I do worry about is that Seattle, their defense was worse than ours last year. And we're picking their coordinator and their defensive back coach. But all of this is going to depend upon how he does in the draft and who we get signed as free agents. So we are in a retooling year for our defense. And Howie's got some big pieces to fill. Mainly looking at our linebacker situation that has got to get better. And everybody knows that. Howie knows that. We don't know what the situation is going to be with Bradbury. Are they going to have to keep him? Is it going to be too much of a cap hit if they let him go and they got to eat that money? So you don't know what's going to happen with Kelsey. Kelsey's been waffling back and forth. I thought he was going to retire. But then he says he wants to be involved. So I don't know if does he want to be a player coach. There's a couple different ways you can go with that. But I will say I do not mind Jason Kelsey being a part of this organization as long as he wants to. Hopefully he'll be the one snapping the ball. But you know how I feel about Cam Jurgens. I feel Cam Jurgens is ready to rock and roll right now. But if Jason Kelsey want to play another year, so be it. As long as him and Stoutland are together, Stoutland is still the best in the business. And Stoutland, to me, is one of those guys in the Eagles organization who's Teflon. Can't touch him. Get a man whatever he wants, whatever capacity he needs to have. Stoutland is the guy you roll out the red carpet for, because what he's done with our offensive line is incredible. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I believe we got a good roster of coaches right now. I'm happy with it. Kellen Moore, Vic Fangio, Clint Hurt, Carl Scott. Now we just got to put the pieces on the board. We got to get a few more pieces to cover up for everything that happened last season. The only linebacker that I can see really coming back is Nakobe Dean. Not coming back, but, he's on the roster. He ain't going nowhere. So, but he's got to be able to stay on the field. So, an interesting conversation that has been going on this week. Are we missing Andy Reid? And I get it. He's going to Super Bowls, and we're not. And he used to coach here. But people forget that when Andy Reid left, he admitted that his time was done and it was time for him to go. So everybody wants to put the Kansas City situation in Philadelphia. And I would like to believe that he would have began trending back up But you just don't know. You just don't. Right people, right place, right time. If Andy Reid was still in Philadelphia, would he have gone after Patrick Mahomes? Would Donovan have, well, Donovan wouldn't have been here, but whoever would have been here. You never know what the situation would have, how it would have played out. You know what I mean? So it's possible he could have. And it's possible he could have passed up. So um, it was, I don't think at least I don't miss Andy Reid like that because it was past time for him to go when he left. We were like 4-12 that year when they finally fired him. So I don't buy that. If you wanna transfer his success and could the Super Bowls have been in Philadelphia? Okay, but the situations would have been totally different. He would not have made the same situations. He would not have gone after the same players. Same players may not have been available. Our draft status would have been different. So you got to throw all them variables in the pot, and you're not gonna come up with the same answer. So, what's up, James? So you definitely not gonna come out with the same answer. So, do we miss him? Yeah. Um, but the situation, in my opinion, would have been vastly different than what you see in Kansas City. Um, Another thing that popped up all of a sudden was all these rumors about AJ Brown being traded. I'm like, where the hell is this coming from? AJ Brown is on the contract. He ain't going nowhere. Is it possible? Yes. Is it probable? No. He ain't going nowhere. He's too good of a player. He's too good of a leader. And the fact that people wanna put that out in the ethos and run with it, people not paying attention, and they just looking for something to write, clickbait, and get all of the web traffic, the social media traffic. So, um, yeah, put that to bed. Put that to bed. AJ Brown is one of those guys. He's to me, he's another one that's Teflon. Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, um, AJ Brown, and I don't think there's anybody on defense. To me, that's Teflon. You got, I mean, Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and all of them. They're not going anywhere. I don't know what Fletcher's going to do. Haven't heard anything yet. So the defensive line is still tight, man. Milt Williams, uh, Josh Sweat, BG will probably come back with a hometown discount so he can finish out his career here. But every now and then, BG will come in there and make a play and get a hurry. So I'm good with that. So, Michael, who you talking about? That he's a good leader. Uh oh, I just saw a fly. That ain't good. But who are you talking about, Mike? When I was talking about who's a good leader, we don't need to just play ball. We got to get some people on defense. Defense is our problem. So BG Fletch, like I was saying, Um, Hassan Reddick to me is Teflon. AJ Brown, yeah. Um, well, it's not. You got to understand the dynamic in the locker room, Mike. You either are or you aren't. That's not something that is given to you. You know what I'm saying? That's something that evolves. Other players see it and respond to it. So just like you give every quarterback now in the NFL automatically gets the captaincy, automatically, because you're the quarterback. However, that doesn't mean you're the captain of that locker room. Quarterbacks have to talk because they have to talk. They force quarterbacks to be the leaders. That doesn't mean in every situation that is the case. In our case, yes, Jalen is a leader. So is AJ Brown, and that comes naturally just by how he plays, how he interacts. Um, Players just don't accept any old body. You got to have the right temperament. You got to be able to ball on the field and do what you're supposed to do. So that is when you say you just want them to play ball, that comes with it. It's a total package with players like AJ Brown, and he's got it. He's got it. There, all of that controversy they raised up about him not talking, and then the scrubbing his social media, all of that kind of stuff, that was blown up. Stuff that he had done before, and him trying to handle things the right way. And when people try to do that, press, social media, beat writers, they're not used to that. So you got to make it up. So I don't believe that for a second. Our leader last year was Kelsey. Yes, he was. However, the comment about Jalen not being able to truly lead until Kelsey retires, that is not true. Because they are connected. So Kelsey has something that Jalen will never have, and that's experience. And the only thing that Jalen can do is keep playing. So naturally, that is selected by the players. You see it every day. We see it a little bit more because we're in Philadelphia. But just as a counterpoint to that, Lane Johnson is a leader on that team. But how come he's not the leader? How come he's not the guy? Because that's just not the way that it works out. Kelsey is the guy. He's the most boisterous. He's, now he's well known because of the podcast and all of that kind of stuff. But it wasn't like that before. It definitely wasn't like that when we went to the Super Bowl in 2017. He was still a leader, but he just wasn't out there. New Heights didn't exist yet. So there are different factors that come into play that just happen. And you got to adjust to that. And just the way that it's been going with Stoutland and the way our offensive line was. And even back then when you looked at, what really flipped the switch for Jason Kelsey was after we won the Super Bowl and he gave a speech at the parade. That's when Jason Kelsey went bigger than life because he had the Mummers costume on. He gave us the whole team speech. We're from Philly, effing Philly, all of that kind of stuff. Matter of fact, I believe in that speech, he said Lane Johnson was on the juice, or he referenced it anyway. So that situations like that, when you're talking about leaders, that evolves. I know they try to give it to people sometimes, but it evolves. And it doesn't manifest the same way for every team. Everybody's different. Personalities are different. Your teammates are different. So it's almost like if you cooking something, everybody has to use the same pot. But you can't control you can't control the ingredients somebody throws in it. One person may have made chicken soup. The other person may have made spaghetti. So you get what you get. We are in a lucky situation, a good situation, where our personalities, our team leaders, they mesh well together. And I've said this before. You take somebody like Jalen, who's very quiet, very measured, very stoic is the word that everybody likes to use. And then you put that against somebody like Slay, who's very loud. Somebody like BG, who's very loud and boisterous and extroverted. You contrast them, but they work together. Because in some cases, people like personalities like that on a team, sometimes they clash. And we are in a situation where we have a very good mix of personalities that keep our team on an even keel. And that's important because everybody can't say that. Mike, I am just now getting into the mock drafts and the analysis. Just now, really getting into it. I've been reading a lot of stuff. One of my friends from A2D Radio, Chucks, he gets into the analysis. One of the guys I had on my show before, Ian Cummings, I've talked to him before, and I plan on getting him back on the show. So I am getting into draft analysis a lot more, but I'm not going to really dive into it until the Super Bowl is over with, and then you got draft analysis, you got college basketball, the Sixers are hot, so it's still a lot of other things going on, but I will definitely be getting into draft analysis a lot more than I have in the past this year. So I haven't done any mock drafts, but I'll get into that. I like to wait until, it's still too soon. There's still a lot of moves to be made. Teams got to finish hiring, different things like that. I know everybody's attention is focused on the Senior Bowl. And even with the Senior Bowl, is they already talking about this guy might be the number one safety or this, and it's like at the end of the day, it's like, don't tell me what a kid could or couldn't be based on a couple of drills you saw at the Senior Bowl. When we're watching Brock Purdy do what he does. So what that's telling me is most of the people that are doing all of this scouting, a lot of them are guessing because they don't have no freaking idea. Brock Purdy just took his team to the Super Bowl. And everybody passed on him on purpose. He did the same stuff when he was at Iowa State. And everybody passed on him. So what didn't they see? What didn't they see with Tom Brady that made him a 6th round pick? He was still 6'4". He still had the arm. So he still ran the 5'4" 40 or whatever it was. So what was it that people just missed on that he finally got his opportunity and he made the most of it? Everybody guesses, man. Everybody guesses. So it's a lot. People think they know. What you want to do is you want to get the most information so you can make an informed decision. That's all. But nobody knows anything. Look at all of the stuff about the. Just a quick side note. Just look how people move the goalposts. Look at a prime example of that is you look at Lamar Jackson with all of the criticism he's getting now after that game the other day. But still, nobody, and I mean nobody, would have ever thought Lamar Jackson was going to be playing for a conference title. When he won the first MVP, everybody was like, well, he won the MVP, but he'll never take it to the Super Bowl. So for him to even get to that point and people still want to trash him, and then it's like, you got to think, like, hold on. Everybody that's trashing Lamar Jackson, who was your choice? And what have they done? Because you know what? Did nobody want Patrick Mahomes? Did nobody want Jalen Hurts? The consensus on those particular players, nobody had heard of them. You knew who Jalen was, but Jalen didn't have the skill set, right? So when I see these guys doing the mock drafts and you still got to deal with all the nepotism, the favoritism, and everything that come, all the isms that come with college football, because you got people that should have been playing that weren't. You got people that were playing that no way should have been. So you getting false narratives out there. Then you're going to have a couple stories come out. Then it's going to come out. Some people get in trouble while they was in school. So you're going to have all these stories out. People trying to, create false narratives. So you never know the truth. So everybody's really just guessing. Unless you go down there and go on campus and do the homework. So, but yeah, I'll get into mock drafts, but it's not time yet. It's not time yet. There's plenty of people out there, plenty of websites that do a lot of the work for you, and you can just, you know, latch on to the analysis and the analytics and all that kind of stuff and go for what you know, which is what I'm gonna do. Or I'm gonna talk to my guy Chucks, or I'm gonna talk to my guy Ian Cummings, because that's what they do best. So I don't do that the best, so I'm gonna let them do what they do. But I will be having some shows specifically on player analysis and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that. But good question. But definitely stay tuned for that. So um, right now, I just want to get over this because we're about to get when we go into February, going into March. That's when things are going to really get crazy because then you got March Madness. Then the combine is about to hit. That's when things really go into overdrive and the whole cycle just starts over again. So I'm trying to. The one thing I did this year, and I've gotten better at it, and I can tell, and people have told me just by response and feedback, is paying attention to the games a lot more. Not just watching the games, studying the games, taking notes. Like this was the second year watching the games that I was taking notes. Every down, write down what happened, write down who did what, and then halftime I was doing Facebook Live at halftime, and I could give a decent analysis of what I've seen. And you know, this is only my second year doing that, and I played the game. But you get just like anything else, it's like a muscle. You gotta work that muscle out. So if you can flex, so that's what I'm trying to do to get better at that aspect. So most of the content I consume now is looking at people that study film like I study film, or that I wish I had time to. So I'm watching Baldy. I'm watching Greg Cosell. I'm watching Barrett Brooks. I listen to Seth. So I know that they watch film. And the one thing that I have noticed, and I've gone on rants about this before, most of the guys, the media heads, the people that are on TV, Shady McCoy and FS1 and all of that kind of stuff, a lot of those guys, you got to remember that's a production. That's a production. But then you have people offshoots like Acho, and you got people like Orlovsky. You can tell they watch film. Brian Baldinger is a friend of mine. We were teammates with the Eagles. I watch him all the time. So I know who to watch because I know who studies film. So I want to be on that same plane, and I'm not there yet. So my platform is a little bit different because I don't have time to break down film like that. I wish I did. But having said that, I am getting better at it. And again, I can tell from the feedback I get from people that they're understanding and they're appreciating what I'm talking about. So, um, so yeah, man. So it's all good. It is all good, man. Um, so yeah, we're at the Wednesday mark. I will be back again on Friday for live at lunch. I'm doing this Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I usually get started around 10 after 12, and I usually get done right around 12:45, 12:50, around there. So I don't want to take up all the lunchtime, but just enough time to talk, get some points across. And hey, man, I appreciate you asking questions, Mike. James, I appreciate you tuning in, bro. Everybody, Mr. Mayor, everybody, man. So we're going to keep this thing going. 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, live at lunch. And tomorrow, I will be, early in the morning, I will be on my breakfast show on RVN television, which starts at 7:30. I go 7:30 to 8. That's it. And then tomorrow night at 7 p.m. on A2D Radio. My show, Pro Fan Talk, we're going to hit it. So there'll probably be some more news by then anyway. So, but I'm about to get out of here, man. Enjoy the rest of your lunch. You got plenty of time to clock back in and all that kind of good stuff. And stay tuned. I know there's going to be some more news coming down the pipe soon enough. And we'll be right back to it. All right. Appreciate you joining me, and I will see you guys Friday at 10 after 12. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace. Go Birds.